You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on, till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you
Oh
live.
yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
Yo. Welcome to the 3-Yard Play podcast for that special
sir.
Kings edition. What's going on with the trip, LJ?
Hey,
What
back
it
in the
do?
building, man. 3-Yard Play podcast.
All
Man,
day.
you know, it's that King holiday special. So I had a lot of things on my mind. I was wondering if we could explore if the legacy and representation matters today in terms of holding up the dream. Is the dream still alive? Has it been deferred? You know what I mean? Has it, or is it just dead? I mean, do we need to find a new route? You know what I mean? So I'm just curious to know, just inspired by that King holiday, trying to be like a king himself.
Okay.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
did want to kind of explore that leadership options and how it impacts how the past impacts our future, and how this present moment impacts the future. But y'all know what I'm trying to say. If the past influences today, and how today can we impact the future? That's probably a better way to explain that.
Exactly.
So, you got anything on your head, LJ, about that?
Yeah, man. As I, honor those who came before us and established this opportunity for us to even be in this position today, I started to just like think about, man, like, who do we have today? Who is here today that is making such an impact on our youth, on our communities, and it's I don't know if it's become a situation where, because we have somewhat assimilated into society and kind of mixed in with everyday systems that are already in place, have we kind of got drowned out in our voice, in a sense? Like, has our voice become kind of like substituted as the whole now, where the things that we need are things that we emphasized in the times like Martin or Malcolm, are they kind of like put to the back now, because now we are kind of seen as, or at least on the surface, seen as part of the whole working body. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I like to say I like people, like people like Stacey Abrams, but that's still, I guess, I don't know, trying to work within the system, for the system. So I'm not sure yet what do I feel about that yet. I'm still kind of like, where are those leaders that kind of stood like that? Maybe if that's the question. I don't really know if there are any, and maybe I'm just not as privy to all of the information that is out there. But I haven't seen anyone in the open, out there.
Right. But to that point, though, I hear what you're saying. I was thinking about as you were speaking, like how social media, we have so many influencers. Like, I mean, you mentioned, I think, like drowning out the message. Who's been listened to? We do have so many people making impressions in our society. So, what are you thinking about that, Trip?
Well, I was kind of thinking on those same lines of it is different in that we don't have the leaders sometimes on, as centralized or arguably as polarizing leaders right now in the day-to-day, but then we do have a lot more, smaller influencers or leaders on, more spread out platforms that are making an impact and that are, gaining real momentum and actually getting people to take real action. So, it's an interesting time in that in a lot of different ways, you're saying people affect a lot of change just through the platforms that they're able to, work. And it's nothing to see somebody now with 50,000 people following them, 100,000 people, 500,000 people. Whereas when we look at the boycotts and the movements of Dr. King and people like that, it was thousands of folks, but arguably, I don't know if they had, reach of 500,000 people or 1 million people or, some of the reach that we see some of the influencers with. So in that regard, it's different. But, as we look at it, this King Day, it does make me think about just Martin Luther King's dream. And is the dream still alive? And at this point, is the dream still relevant? Do we need to update it? Because at the time, his dream seemed to be very much about integration and a dream of us, being able to just be accepted. And now, years later, after arguably acceptance, we need more infrastructure, and it's arguable to say that we need more ownership on our own, more than we even need to be a part of and be allowed to work somewhere with other people. We also need to work with ourselves and build things that we know we can just depend on, within our own community to support and sustain ourselves. So I think in that regard, it'd be probably time to remix the dream, a little bit. But I think it is still very much relevant in that it is good for us to be accepted and be on the level and be able to work with other people and not be looked down on inherently just because of the color of our skin.
All right, and I can feel that because as you were speaking, it made me kind of explore that past, present, future. I should say that guide I threw out earlier, because I think about it as somebody who's worked as a DEI professional and working in spaces where we try to make people show up as their authentic selves. And so as you were speaking, I started reflecting on that Black Power movement. You know what I mean, and that self-pride and how important that was to galvanizing the people to step up for our civil rights and got us where we are today. I also kind of remember how growing up, I always felt like, man, why King getting all the love? You know what I mean? Because we from Atlanta. I got exposed to Youngs and CTV. All these, it's a lot of folks that we just kind of my grandparents shoot for that matter. I know people in my neighborhood, the first Black anesthesiologist, Dr. Clyde Lord. You know what I mean? He's the first Black anesthesiologist, worked in the Southwest Hospital that had mostly Black doctors in the all-Black community. Thinking about all those people who helped tell the movement. And so we talked about torchbearing. So my involvement in the community made me kind of second guess a lot of the questions I had about King, meaning it does take a level of commitment, resilience, and also an agenda. He didn't just aimlessly try to hit stuff. So when I think back about how they approached it, a lot of those folks got together and they had an agenda. And they didn't just rely on any and everybody. They came together and they used their teams to influence policy. You know what I mean? And if somebody was strong in the area, they did they use it. So I grow a great and much stronger appreciation, especially when I start connecting how young Dr. King was in those times. You know what I mean? And how now that I'm 48, how I need to kind of set a better precedent for the younger people, because apparently it's the youth that make this movement happen. You know what I mean? And so it's tough now in this society, because I like I said, my brain is racing so much because I brought this up, but how we have this cancel culture now, and how like King has his own transgressions in life, you know, but that didn't stop how the people from moving. But in today's society, if you have any hiccups, people counsel you. You know what I mean? They don't look through to see the good and the impact of your decision. Now you got your own things. Me, I'm a God-fearing man. So hey, take that up with God. You know what I mean? Let me not place too much judgment on them, and let me be the one that punish them. So, but kind of stay focused on the agenda and make moves.
Right. You know, and I can go for that, man. I think like when we think about, man, you know, yeah, everybody's had their own transgressions, but at the end of the day, is how much have you contributed to the whole, you know? So yes, I can go back to whatever religion you want to you know, associate yourself with. All of these great leaders had something that was, you know, not as good as people would want it to be, right? But at the end of the day, they were able to make a certain sacrifice level to a level of, even to the point of, you know, giving up their own lives to make sure that the lives of others had progressed to a better place. So regardless of Malcolm's, Martin's, you know, past, Garvey, whoever you want to call out, their shortcomings were the least of my concerns when I compare it to all of the things that they had to do to make sure that you and I had an opportunity to be in a better place. And I think that's where people have to, you know, you're right. In today's culture, they're ready. They're on the ready go to eliminate you the first thing that you do, contrary to what they believe that you should be, and even to a standard that they don't even hold themselves accountable for or to. So yeah, it's harder today, I think, in order to maintain that drive or that momentum and change, because so many people are waiting to, aha, I knew it. You know, they waiting for that moment to prove that you wasn't who you say you was. So yeah, man, I try to focus on the good that they provided, you know, and that's how I look at it. And I'm looking for those people to this day, you know, like who is out there really providing good? Like, even though I may not agree with everything that they're doing or saying, are they providing for the people?
So I'm kind of put y'all on. I'm sorry, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now because we're getting close toward the end. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of make y'all make a commitment to: is it the dream still alive? Is it dead or deferred?
Well, so I think as you answer that question, is it different now, because we've got, you know, two additional factors that we didn't have to deal with during the time when he originally came up with the concept. Because I think now overall we're a lot more comfortable, and comfort can be a real, you know, it can be a real problem. It can make people really lazy. It can be a huge deterrent. And it's not that we're doing good. We're just at a point in which we can be comfortable, because you feel like across the board have a lot of things other people are allowed to have. So we have a false sense of security, but a lot of times the other people have, you know, a bigger stake in the manufacturing of these things. And so they have a lot more vested stake. And I think the second thing is that we have a lot of gatekeepers now. We have a lot of people that have gotten in positions that don't want to get out of the position and or don't want to pass it on to someone else. So, you know, this person knows, as I have this position, I've been allotted this, and there's a lot of other bonus things that come along with it. And there was a point back in the day when we didn't have any Blacks, African Americans, people of color, however you want to cut it, in those positions. So there was a big push to get people in certain areas But now that, you know, people got in those areas and they worked their way up, they not necessarily trying to just go sit down and get out the way and let a new generation of folks come in. So I think between comfort and people being in those spots, then that's, you know, really a large part of, well, is the dream alive or not? That the dream has to be, you know, updated or just revisited, because, you know, we have things that they didn't have to consider when they really went to the drawing board originally.
Right. What about you, LJ?
Yeah, I think the dream needs to be looked at from a realistic standpoint, you know, and that means in the present time, you know, with anything that you will implement, it has to adjust, right? It has to be according to the time that you're in, you know what I mean? Like things that they did back in, you know, the biblical times, they adjusted it to this day or to the day that they were in at that time. So yes, I think we had discussed this a while back, you know, when we were talking about some of the methods that were used back during the civil rights. Are they relevant today, and can you use them today? And I think I made the comment like, no, not necessarily, you know, because there was a different mindset, a different circumstance that was going on that would made that way more effective at that time. So like, you know, to Tripp's point, yeah, I think some of the things that we think of it when we refer to the dream, they need to be revamped in today's society as far as how we approach it, because you know there's a big divide, I feel like, between the young and the old. You know, there's this big divide where the old won't respect the new and the new don't want to respect the old. So it's kind of like, you know, we gotta mend that part so that there can be a unity in moving forward into the future. And then I think on top of that, it's got to be a point of sustainability, like established. Like, okay, so once you get this thing, what are you going to do, and what is in place to keep it there? You know, what do we have? Because I'm pretty sure Martin and Malcolm and all those great leaders, they never got to see or implement whatever plan they had to sustain it. Because some of the things that, even though have more freedoms today, you got to ask yourself, are we really free, or have we taken that freedom and turned it into another form of degradation, or putting us our own situation in a worse place, you know, than what it really was, from an integrity standpoint, from a moral standpoint, you know. So those are things you had to consider when you're going forward in the future.
All right, but I appreciate y'all with that. Just real quick, because I know we're running out of time. I believe the dream has been heard, and for a lot of the reasons that you all stated, meaning we got to get back to get back to knowing who we are, having a level of awareness of who we are as individuals and as a community, so that way, when we show up in spaces where we have to fight for what's ours, or for inclusiveness, or for whatever it is, as we fight to establish, as I think the word Tripp used was power structure, economics. You know, we got to know who we are, and at that time that comes with building community. We got to get back to that. And I think until we get back to a point where we are building community within, it's going to be tough to realize the dream, because it's too many messages, and we and just for lack of a better phrase, we can kind of watering down our existence, if you will. So I do appreciate that. I think we do need to get back to more of these empowerment movements that are centered around blackness. You know, it's not centered around our blackness. You know what I mean? And that's not a monolith. That comes with a lot of things. So we got to start embracing our culture more. So when we sit down in these different spaces that the King platform provided for us, we're able to move forward and help realize the dream. I do think the dream is still alive, but I think it has been deferred. So with that being said, thank y'all for checking in with this 3 Yard Play podcast on this special King holiday.
Yeah, and let me. I want to say one thing before you cut out, man.
Yes,
just in the closing thought, I do think the dream well, respected Dr. King. You know, I have my issues and shortcomings and things I think could have been done different, but I must say for him to have been such a young person and make such a huge impact, you know, that's commendable. And along those lines, to say the dream is alive and well, shouts out to all the young people that are affecting change these days. You know, you have a lot of young people that are really frontlining a lot of movements and getting out here, and they are becoming those new change makers the same way we talk about those historical figures. So, you know, shouts out to y'all, everybody that's out there really on ground level doing the work, or people that are, you know, helping organize in all facets. And, you know, shouts out to just our family. You know, King Holiday makes me think of just the Black family overall, and just a time in which we work together. You know, even if we didn't realize all our goals, or some of our goals may not have been what we thought, you know, once we got it, we were, seemed like more so on the same page and working together more. So I just do appreciate that.
Hey,
Shout out, I would like to say, you know, shout out to all the leaders, past, present, and future leaders. And if, you know, our motto is, what does it work for you? But at the end of the day, if it works for you, is how much will you sacrifice for it? And I feel like those leaders, past, present, and future, those are the ones who made those sacrifices to make it work, not just for themselves, but also for us. So shout out, appreciate y'all, thank y'all.
And to that message, I want to send a challenge out to the young people. Hey, challenge old heads like myself. I ain't all that old though. To hold space for you, to kind of help lead and guide and mentor you through these challenges, because we have resources and challenges us to share. We don't want to be gatekeepers. We need our old heads. It's time to let go and let them handle this business. You know what I mean? And so thank y'all for tuning in. 3 Yard Play Podcast. What's the question, fellas?
Does it work for you?
Peace.
Peace.
Like, share, subscribe. We out. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Genocide to show just how much we love you, and I'm sure they agree. A bit more perfectly on behalf of one party, the day you came to me. Happy birthday to yourself. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. How someone who stands for good could not have a day that would. He said, aside from the recognition, because it should never be just because some cannot see. The dream is lazy, that they should make it become an illusion. We all know everything that this first time will bring. But in our heart we sing the Mandela and Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. We know that there should be a holiday where peace is celebrated. The world
see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3-yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. Oh, we gon' water the season, watch that harvest flow. Whoa. I've been crunching numbers.
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
And grind the slow is better than crashing out
we
for
get that
dough.
money bound for we don't want it.
Just say, young brothers, remember,
fulfill the promise.
I ain't never
3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and
You
mine had
have
to
been
do
rocking
it
with the
die every
3
single
Yard Play
night.
Podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe,
We
share.
gon' water the
And let's
season, watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. Whoa. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never hunger.
to 3
When we
Yard
get
Play
that money
Podcast.
bound for, we don't run it. I only
Folks
pledge
on
allegiance
to it.
to go fulfill the promise. Time and time again.